end of the day, it's about sending a message. I have filed class action lawsuits against Suno and Udio. They have come out and just outright admitted that they have scraped, they have trained, they have copied on your music. There have been allegations surrounding Timbaland. Think twice about exploiting independent music creators. There are many predators in the music industry. As someone who's been practicing law now for 11 years, 5 of which have been dedicated to this channel, I started Top Music Attorney just because I wanted to help you guys to learn how to protect yourselves. And then as the channel has evolved, we've really focused on how do we achieve actual change. And so for all the things that we have achieved, for example, music distributors being some of the most predatory businesses in the music business, calling these companies out, actually getting them to change their contracts. We've achieved some big things here. Besides being a lawyer, I'm an independent artist and I'm extremely passionate about music and art. And actually, it was the reason I went to law school in the first place, because I wanted to learn how to protect myself in my own career. And then once I had graduated, I just had so many friends who were in the music space who needed help. And so I did end up starting an entertainment law firm with the focus on helping independent creators. So it's not just musicians and artists and producers, but it's authors, it's filmmakers. But again, my heart is in music, so that's why I started Top Music Attorney specifically, so we could focus on music business mastery. But from everything that we know today, the predatory practices have to stop. So that's why I've written a letter to Congress asking for help. Why I take these phone calls with music distributors and we actually get them to change their contracts. And like I said, we've achieved wins, but the mission here is to actually get meaningful change. So that's where the conversation about these class action lawsuits comes up. I've been covering generally what's been going on with Suno and Udio the last year. And what we do know is that these big corporations that are valued in the hundreds of millions of dollars have not only continued to raise hundreds of millions of dollars, but importantly that they have come out and just outright admitted that they have scraped, they have trained, they have copied on your music on publicly available platforms, which, if true, is copyright infringement, and there's no excuse. Now, these companies have come back and said, oh, it's fair use. But the breaking point for me was absolutely when the Copyright Office itself came out and said in these scenarios where these companies are taking expressive content, such as music, right, training their AI to then create a competing commercial product like music, it probably is not fair use. If it's not fair use, it's copyright infringement and they owe you money. Now, when I made the decision that we had to do something about this, and I actually took this and pitched this to class action lawyers, we were already moving on this, and then lo and behold, word came out that these major record labels are actually in talks with Suno, with Udio, to potentially do licensing deals, and maybe the major record labels are going to get a little piece of these companies. And as one of our followers commented and just said, well, is this them just consenting to the infringement? We don't know what's going to happen with their lawsuits, their music, but as it relates to independent artists, I just go, for me, this shows how much independent artists don't matter to these companies. We know that the entire music industry is built off of the backs of independent artists, independent music creators, and yet I go in one of the most widespread, outrageous incidents of multiple companies coming and stealing your music. That yet again, independent creators have no seat at the table and no real remedy. So the bottom line is that with these class action lawsuits, yes, it's about getting you guys paid, but at the end of the day, it's about sending a message. And so that's why I mentioned the music distributor issue, because this is one of many that are on our list of we're actually going to do something about it. And the goal here is to get these companies to just think twice about exploiting independent music creators and to really think twice about exploiting our most vulnerable and our most importantly creative. Because the beautiful thing about independent artists is that you guys do not play by the same rules as major label artists. And I believe you guys are the ones that are the trendsetters. You're the ones that are pushing the boundaries, creating new subgenres. And even as it relates to one of the companies that we are suing, Suno, there have been allegations surrounding Timbaland, who is the creative advisor for Suno, and some clips that have come out where he is allegedly listening to an instrumental of an independent creator, an independent producer, and then feeding it into Suno, remixing it into a new version. And this is what I'm talking about. If true, he didn't take the song of Justin Timberlake or Missy Elliott. He took the song of someone who was independent, right? A song that wasn't going to get flagged when it was uploaded into the system. Oh yeah, by the way, we know in their terms of service that the user gives rights to Suno when it uploads music. And it's a whole different conversation about the whole what rights are you giving back that you never can claw back by just using these platforms. We'll set that aside for a second. But if someone who didn't have the authority to put your music into one of these platforms, and now these platforms have the right to go and spit out your songs into other people's music, and there's no safeguard to protect your music, this all plays into why we are here today. So I do want to point out, this is our class action lawsuit against Suno, where we write, while the high-profile lawsuits, right, so the ones brought by the major record labels, continue to draw a lot of attention in the fight to protect major label music, independent artists whose rights have been trampled the most are the ones left without a seat at the table, unrepresented, and without a meaningful remedy. Now, I'm going to mention our lead plaintiff here in a minute, but these class action lawsuits were filed by my law firm, Delgado Entertainment Law, with class action law firm EKSM, and actually some other lawyers that you guys might even know. They go by Attorney Tom and America's Attorney. And we wrote, while Suno has openly and unapologetically admitted to scraping and duplicating, quote, tens of millions of publicly available songs. This was from the Suno answer in the major record label lawsuit. These songs are by majority owned and controlled by independent artists. As we allege, I mean, we're talking about tens of millions of songs that independent artists cannot claw back. That's a really important piece of how this works. Once AI has trained on your music, you can't get it back. It is stored in neural networks. It's not capable of deletion or retraction. And that's why we allege that these abuses were so extreme, and why licensing to then make copies, to then make derivative works of other people's music was something these companies were required to do. Now, you guys are already signing up to be plaintiffs, but our lead plaintiff is Anthony Justice, otherwise known as Tony Justice, and he's an independent country music artist. He has sold over 100,000 albums. He's earned over 21 million YouTube views, and he's very much all about the DIY, sell directly to your fans, build your own email lists, all the things that we talk about on this channel. And he's done something that is very successful to only have these companies come and steal his music. This is what they did to you as well. So what this comes down to for me is we go, well, we know that they committed copyright infringement. We know that they took your music. So what are you going to do about it? And this is us doing something about it. But not only that, we also want to send a message to all these companies that think that they can take advantage of you. Now, of course, if you want to join, it's indieailawsuit.com. You can either just get on the email list, you can see how you can support, or you can actually become a plaintiff as part of these lawsuits. And one thing that I've seen that I think is pretty cool is that even users who are like AI artists who use these platforms, they understand the distinction of what I'm talking about here. We're not saying the problem is making AI music. We're saying the problem is that big corporations can't steal from other people and get away with it. And so generally speaking, if you support that mission, then I hope you continue to ride with us on this journey, because really it's one of many things that we're working on right now. And I'll go back to what I said, which is the mission is to achieve actual change, not to just talk about the injustice of what's happening. And every single person who comes into contact with the videos on Top Music Attorney, whether you're a subscriber, a long-term follower, or you just found this channel, hi, I'm Top Music Attorney. Thanks for being here. I really value you being a part of this. This is literally the reason I'm doing this, is because over the last year, I've seen what you guys have been saying. I've been hearing what you have been requesting, and I truly believe this is the first step in what it's gonna take to actually achieve change long-term. So if that sounds good to you, give me a hoorah, I don't know how you spell that, in the comments down below. And thank you very much for being here. I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm Top Music Attorney.